Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of the Department Podcast. I have been given the trust to host this episode, and it is something that my colleagues have made a grave mistake in doing, number one, and number two, I am completely honored to do. As of course, we have a couple usual suspects here: Stephen Clark, Stephen Bologna, myself, Joe Paolantonio with you. We're going to break down the championship games on Sunday. We saw some things that were completely egregious. We have a lot of slander that's going on in the sports media community that I think is not deserved. And then there's a lot of credit to a lot of people that I don't think deserve it. So we're really going to have a fun one. We have a couple, I'm going to say, Tom Brady fanboys here with us. I don't want to say fanboys because I think that underestimates just how much you love this man. And for a guy like Stephen Clark,
I love him,
who we like to add why the Colts hat has just completely dogged him for years. I mean, his team probably would have multiple championships in his lifetime if it wasn't for this man. But yet Clark still carries water. But first off, how are we doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Truz. We got big Truz in you, Joe.
Big Truz.
We got big
in the
Truz.
flesh.
You know what? That means a lot. That means a lot. I mean, Bologna's on his game today. He came in laser focused. He had the glasses on Francesa style.
Oh yeah.
Really, really beautiful stuff. So our thoughts are with Jess Norman and Justin Valentovic. Jesse is, I believe, virtually stacking ShopRite shelves. Is that what?
Oh yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
ShopRite from home.
ShopRite from home.
Great business approach.
Meatloaf a la SpongeBob. We love it.
And Justin's been on the parkway since like 5 a.m, just salting nothing because no.
He called into the sports drive today.
Did he really?
Called in. He had a great question. He wanted to know where Trevor Bauer was going to sign.
Okay.
We'll save that for the MLB hot stove.
A lot of sources are pointing to a certain AL Central team, but you know what? I'm going to cliffhanger it. I'm going to say, if you want to know what AL Central team, tune in to the Hot Stove episode of the Department Podcast. All right.
Love
this guy.
The Buccaneers and the Packers played on Sunday. I don't know if you guys heard.
Yeah, I heard.
But a couple older gentlemen who donned the number 12 faced off, and there was a lot of publicity around this one. Still, again, you got to give credit. Packers fans really came out to Lambeau in the limited number that they can, and they definitely made a lot of noise. It seemed like a real true home field advantage for the Packers, but Buccaneers still came out with the win. And we're going to get into the game, but I think the biggest topic that came out of this was Aaron Rodgers gave a quote that was a little not so certain about his future. Stephen Clark.
Yes.
Do you think that Aaron Rodgers would actually wear a uniform other than the classic Green Bay Packers?
No, I don't think so. It was just, he was in the moment at the time. He was obviously very frustrated with how the game went, and he was probably just saying stuff that just came to his mind in that time, saying, like, trying to like kind of brush off the reporters, being like, hey, I don't know what the future holds. Like stop bugging me about this question. Like, I know all these rumors are coming out ever since Jordan Love got drafted that I might want out of this team, but he was just like, I don't know. And on the Pat McAfee show today, he actually went out and saying that there's a good chance basically that he'll be back in Green Bay, which I expect him to be because they have a really good team over there. He's the centerpiece of that team. He's the leader of that team. I just don't see him going anywhere.
Bologna.
Yeah, I don't I can't envision him leaving. Now, that being said, if he was to leave in any offseason, this would be the one. A lot of quarterback-needy teams out there willing to spend. It appears that his hometown team does need a quarterback with the 49ers. And we were kind of rumored last year that the Bears maybe he would want to go to, and they need a quarterback. So, again, I don't think he's leaving. I don't think the Packers are stupid enough to get rid of him. Unless Rodgers requests a trade out, which I don't think Rodgers is going to do. He's been there for so long. But this is 4 straight NFC Championship games. He could not seal the deal. So Packers need to get him some weapons finally.
I think we're in a situation right now where a lot of people they really like to do this. They like to turn every organization that doesn't win a championship perennially and call it a terrible organization. There are so many people claiming that the Packers have failed Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur, if we remember, was hired after Aaron Rodgers had a rift with the last coach. If Aaron Rodgers wanted to request a trade, he wanted out. It would have been during the McCarthy era. This was his offense. He seemed happier the last 2 years. Other than the draft of Jordan Love, I understand they have not drafted a lot of skill position players, but they have built that defense and that offensive line. They really have. They have built from the ground up a whole new team in the last 3 to 4 years, and it has his personal head coach. I don't understand why there's so much hate being directed toward the Packers because, Devontae Adams is a great receiver. So is Valdez Scantling, and Lazard is solid as well. And Tonyan should have been a Pro Bowler this year. If we're being legit, like, this is not a bad roster. They went 13-3 the last 2 years. So what we're not going to do is sit here and pretend like the Packers are the Bears or the Lions.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. They need more respect on their name. Like you said, Joe, people are just disrespecting them because of all the NFC Championship losses, but they got to that point every single year. Many teams can't even get to that point or even make the playoffs in the league. So they need more respect. They deserve more respect. Not even need more respect. They deserve it. And they just have to just get on the same page. I feel like to make the Super Bowl again. It's just, I don't know what happens. Like they were the 1 seed in the NFC. They had the playoffs went through them and they lost to a 5 seed. So they just need to get on the same page, I guess. I really don't know what else they could do because they have a really, really good team.
At some point, I understand what you guys are saying with the respect thing, but at some point, 4 straight losses in this game, something has to change. And I don't know what it is. We'll have to see what the Packers do this offseason. But they're not winning. And you could say, 13-3 all they want, but they're not winning. It's that plain and simple. So I don't know if they need to make a defensive coordinator change, GM change, something. But they're not winning. So something's wrong.
These games, the last 4 games have been very different. There were the 2 in the middle that they got completely blown out by Atlanta and then last year against San Francisco. And what that boils down to, it has nothing to do with Rodgers, the weapons, or the offense. It really didn't. Last year, they could not stop the run at all, and it was the same thing against Atlanta when they met a few years back. And I believe the first championship game they lost was against Seattle, and that was a game that was tight that could have gone either way. This game, another one, tight, could have gone either way. To make the issue about the lack of weapons in the first round, I can't. I can't understand. You could put it on Rodgers. You could put it on the defense, but the front office has put this team in a position, especially the year they lost to Seattle, because that was an incredibly winnable game. So you put this in a little bit of perspective, but one move that's gotten a lot of flack in the talk of the town. So 4th and goal. You're at the 8-yard line, down by 8. They're going to kick a field goal with a little over 2 minutes to play. I don't know, Bologna. What do you have on this one?
Not a fan of this one. Going back to the 3rd down and goal, though, a lot of people are saying, Rodgers, you had the wide open lane to run for it. If you actually look at the angle of that play, there's actually 2 cornerbacks and 1 linebacker in that area. So unless Aaron Rodgers is into Lamar Jackson, more than likely not getting into that end zone. But 4th and goal, when you do have Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, this is a classic inexperienced head coach move. 2nd year as a head coach for LaFleur, says, let me trust my defense. Meanwhile, his defense at times has been exposed during this game. And props to the Buccaneers, the first down on the next drive, coming out and passing for 9 yards. If I'm the Packers, I would have went for the points here. It would have been a one-score game either way, but I'm unfortunately not the decision maker.
Yeah, we don't get paid the big bucks. They do.
Nope.
But this was the NFC Championship. This wasn't a game week through 1 through 17 or any of that. This is a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and sometimes you have to take risks to go to the Super Bowl. So I agree with you, Steve. I really do think they should have got one for the touchdown there, because the field goal, yes, it edged them closer, but it didn't do enough. A touchdown would have been a lot better on this situation. I just think it was very conservative, this move. I'm just not a fan. It needs to be more risky in these situations. I know sometimes with a risk, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, and that they probably would have got criticized if they didn't go for it. That's the only problem here. Like either if they get it, Matt LaFleur is the hero for going for it. If they miss it, then he's the scapegoat, and then it looks bad on his part. But if it's an NFC Championship game, I'm going for it, and I'm going for the touchdown.
All the analytics say to go for it, but I have to defend Matt LaFleur's decision right here.
Oh.
I don't hate the move because
I thought analytics was the solver for every problem, Joe.
That's what I thought. But here's what it comes down to, and what analytics doesn't account for. If you score, you still have to get the 2-point conversion. You get the ball back to Tom Brady and the Bucs with a little over 2 minutes to go in a tie game. It is very unlikely you get the ball back. And if you do get the ball back, it would be tough to, get it down into field goal range by that amount of time. And if you do kick a field goal, you go to overtime, and then it's down to a coin flip. This move, you give the ball right back to them. You don't have to rely on the 2-point conversion. You trust your defense to make the stop. You don't put it up to a coin toss in overtime. This was a move to win the game. Trying to score 8 would be to tie and hopefully get the ball back, because it's assumed that Brady and the Buccaneers would go down and score after. It wasn't as bad of a decision as it seemed at the time. I think there are several ways that it could have worked out, but there really wasn't a correct answer. I think even though you go for it and you don't make it, it's all the same, really.
Yeah, I think it's very situational too, like of how things are going in the game. And in this situation, Tom Brady played like garbage in the second half, so you had to see what he was doing. And then if there's a chance your team gets to take over, yes, they're going to run the ball a lot, but if it comes to a third down, Tom Brady's throwing the ball. He threw three picks this game. Not the best game from Tom. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but Jair had 2 of them. There's a chance he throws another one on third down. There really is. And then if he does, then you have the ball back and probably your range of the field and probably can kick a game-winning field goal. So I don't know.
Yeah, the Packers were awful in the red zone all day.
Oh, man. And they couldn't capitalize off the turnovers.
No.
And we're going to talk about the turnovers here, because this is the second part. So the first talk of the town is Packers, Aaron Rodgers. And now we have people comparing Tom Brady it's beyond Manning. It's beyond Rodgers, Breeze, Elway, Marino. It's beyond the other quarterbacks. Now, Tom Brady is being compared to Michael Phelps and the great athletes in the United States. They're calling him the greatest athlete of all time. Tom Brady has surpassed football and is now in Michael Jordan territory.
That's a little too far.
You guys are the Tom Brady people. Tell me how after this game, Tom Brady gets all the credit. It's him. Tom Brady has been to 10 Super Bowls. Not Tom Brady's teams. It was all him. This is the narrative right now.
First thing, Steven or I did not agree with, and I don't think he does, at least. Well, I don't agree with him being the greatest athlete of all time.
No, I do not.
No, the greatest quarterback, 100%. Greatest athlete.
Hell yeah.
Not even greatest athlete in football. Like, not even greatest athlete at the quarterback position. Like, just the greatest quarterback of all time is Brady. That's should be everybody's opinion on it, but I can't force people to what they want to think. What are the other questions? You asked a lot of questions there.
Well, I'm just thinking how.
You said Brady got the 10 Super Bowls, not his team.
I'm just saying, you watch him throw 3 interceptions on Sunday, and your takeaway is this is the greatest player of the quarterback position. This is the pinnacle. It won't get better.
Didn't Drew Brees throw 3 interceptions as well in his game, Joe?
Absolutely. And who's calling him the greatest of all time right now?
You literally called him the best quarterback of all time.
And all time. I mean,
and all time, Tom Brady's going to his 10th Super Bowl and has 6 rings and has a chance for 7 in 2 weeks. If we're going all time, or are we just going off of Sunday? Off of Sunday, he wasn't the greatest quarterback. All time, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
This is a Buccaneers roster that was virtually the same exact team as last season, and all that changed was they went from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady, and automatically they go from 8-8 to the Super Bowl in their home stadium. Now the Patriots, on the other hand, say whatever you want about their opt-outs. I get it. They had a lot of league high opt-outs. But if Bill Belichick is this all-time fantastic coach, which he is, shouldn't he have figured out a way to muster up a winning team? Brady leaves, and all of a sudden they're not good. Brady goes to Tampa, Super Bowl.
Clearly, you don't understand. You said, I understand the opt-outs, and I understand they had no cap room, and I understand that they have no. You said, and then you obviously don't understand, because the rosters of these two teams are totally different. I mean, to downplay,
and Brady won with the worst roster.
One has Brady, the other doesn't. That's the only difference.
To downplay the talent of the Tampa Bay defense, which dominated New Orleans and played really, really well late in the game against.
Why didn't they dominate last year then?
The number 1 offense, the Packers.
Where were they last year?
Yeah, they had the same defense.
I don't remember seeing them in the playoffs last year or the last 15 years.
I mean, I'm not going to say the defense wasn't helped by Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions. I mean, that's what's going to happen. But if we're comparing Tom Brady to a guy who threw 30 interceptions,
we're comparing Tom Brady to the last starter in Tampa Bay.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm comparing.
And look where they are now compared to the last 15 years.
Tom Brady to every other talent. I mean, who else is able to just throw 3 picks in the second half and have his team win? Like, it's just like,
because he threw 3 touchdowns. Let's not forget about that.
Never have gotten away with that. Peyton Manning would never have gotten away with that.
Peyton Manning on the Broncos Super Bowl literally had arguably probably the best defense in the league.
I'm talking about in his prime, in his great years with Indianapolis. If Peyton Manning has a Tom Brady game, the Colts aren't winning that game. And then, boom, that's a hit to Manning's legacy. Aaron Rodgers throws 3 interceptions. It's over with a lot of those Packers teams in his prime. Are those guys throwing also 3 touchdowns in the same game? They're throwing 3 interceptions. He had a phenomenal first half. I'm ready to dog on Jameis Winston for having a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and then praise Tom Brady.
Where were they? Did they make the playoffs? Had they made the playoffs with Jameis Winston?
In the same breath, you just praise Jameis Winston for having a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception.
Not me.
I don't recall.
I don't recall that one.
I don't recall that one either.
So you said he also threw 3 times. Jameis Winston also threw 30.
They're in the Super Bowl, Joseph. They're in the Super Bowl.
Tell me, you're giving Brady flack for throwing 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship. What is your argument for him not throwing not any interceptions in the game against Washington and New Orleans?
Okay, Washington.
Fantastic defense.
Fantastic front. Pieces in the secondary.
Washington.
All right, New Orleans.
A playoff team, Washington. Okay. Continue.
New Orleans, great team.
Fantastic.
They had the ball. They had the field position. You have to take these things.
Yeah, because Drew Brees lost. You can't throw. You can't blame that on the Tom Brady.
This is not about Drew Brees right now. Drew Brees is so clearly over the hill, as was Peyton Manning, and eventually Tom Brady will be in this situation.
Okay, all right. You said eventually he will be. He's 43 years old and he's still competing like this. Like, when's eventually coming? I'm waiting.
The fact that he's 43 and
I'm waiting.
But 4 different playoff games with 3 interceptions. I mean, this is ugly. Let's look at some of these passer ratings in these playoff games. 49, 56, 57, 57, 59.
Do passer ratings really matter if your team's going to the Super Bowl, Joe?
40 touchdowns to 12 interceptions this year, Joe.
And the team deserves a lot of this credit.
Okay, cool.
I'm not looking at Tom Brady's regular season right now. I'm just pointing at the fact
that they're in the Super Bowl. Yes, I understand.
What
Your argument is that the Buccaneers roster should get more credit. What we're saying is this roster is the same as last year, and they had no success. Now you add Brady, and all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl. And you're saying it's still not Brady.
Granted, Steve, they added not Le'Veon Bell. They added
Leonard Fournette.
Gronk, who does nothing. Antonio Brown, who was out. So practically, you're right, Steve. The exact same roster as last year. Besides
same coaching staff.
Yeah, that too. The same coaching staff. You're right.
There's a lot of young
Antoine
players.
Winfield was out for this game, so you can't make that excuse.
And then the backup to Antoine Winfield got hurt too.
They played well. Todd Bowles had them play really well. Nothing. It wouldn't be. I would be probably a Tom Brady fan just as much as everyone else if he wasn't treated like he was the only player on the roster when he wins. That's it. Year after year after year, one moment in one vein, everyone's like, Julian Edelman's a Hall of Famer, and then the next minute, Tom Brady has thrown to no one his entire career. It's the LeBron syndrome, where if he wins, all the credit. If he loses, it's not on him. It's not his fault. That's the problem.
I agree with half of that. If he wins, he does get all the credit, but if he does loses, I think a lot of blame does get put on Brady a lot of the time.
Yeah, I'm looking at games that he won in the playoffs where he had a 57 passer rating.
But who cares about passer ratings?
What other quarterback is doing that?
Okay, what year was that?
2012 for one and 2007 for another.
Wow. Oh, 2007. You're going to bash that regular season, Joe? Please pull up the stats on that one. That's probably the best regular season of all time.
He's the best playoff performer, right?
I mean, he's got 6 Super Bowls. He's been to 18% of every single Super Bowl ever.
The funny.
Where's he gets to the Super Bowls with 57 passer rating? Like, come on. 2019 against the Rams, won a whole ring. Well, he won a whole ring and he scored 13 points.
Okay.
13 points. He got all the credit.
Where's this cool stat I found online? You're a Steph Curry fan, right, Joseph?
Love him.
You're a Steph Curry fan. Tom Brady has made the Super Bowl in 10 out of the last 21 seasons, 47%. Steph Curry's career three-point percentage is 43%. Tom Brady is more likely to reach the Super Bowl than Steph Curry is to make a three-point shot. And he takes three-point shots every night. He's more likely to make the Super Bowl.
His teams.
Joe, your argument, in my opinion, you are basically saying this. If Tom Brady's team wins it all, Brady should not have the credit. If Tom Brady's team loses, it's all Brady's fault, and he's not that good. That is your argument.
No, here's what I will say. Tom Brady, tremendous in several regular seasons. In these Super Bowls, you got to give credit. Seattle Super Bowl, he was great. The Eagles Super Bowl was probably one of his best performances.
And his defense gave up 41 points.
Yeah. Even Atlanta did choke, but he gets a lot of credit for that win. What I'm saying is that he was able to get to a lot of big games, get to a lot of Super Bowls, and win some Super Bowls while playing poorly. And I just don't think a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning, who have had not the same caliber of defenses, would have been able to do that. And I think that's very reasonable. I think it's very, very reasonable.
I understand what you're saying, Joe. I do. But the fact that you're kind of nitpicking at Brady's poor games every now and then, I don't get why.
Well, it's his poor games when he wins. It's he plays poorly, wins, and the credit goes to Tom. Okay. He plays poorly, scores 13 points in the Super Bowl against the Rams, but Tom Brady won the ring, not the defense that held that great Rams to just 3 points.
He didn't win MVP, so apparently he didn't get all the credit with that either.
He didn't. His receiver got the MVP.
He did. I mean, who else do you give it to in a game that's that low scoring?
I mean, Tom Brady. Like,
Joseph. I know it's hard to accept that he's one of the
It's
greatest
not.
right in front of your eyes. You're a LeBron hater too. He's one of the greatest of all time too, if not the greatest of all time. This isn't a basketball podcast, so we're not talking about that.
The fans. It's not him. It's the fans.
And then it's the
fans.
people that blame him for everything if they lose, and then bash him if he wins. I don't get it.
I'm just saying.
Why would I blame him? Why would I blame him for his performance against the Eagles? Why would I blame him for that?
Because you would literally blame him.
No blame. I have no blame. He got Rodgers in that Super Bowl. He got.
But what happened to this amazing team around him? That great defense gave up 41 points to Nick Foles.
Who sucked.
41.
Almost inexplicable. It's almost inexplicable. And Tom played great. Tom played like the GOAT.
I have to think you have to give credit where credit's due. He went to a new team, brought them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hasn't been there since they won the Super Bowl. Haven't been to the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl.
Joe, you said it is all Bill Belichick the reason Brady was successful. And now that he's successful somewhere else, what's your excuse? The team around him?
Because I understand that they weren't great last year.
And the year before that.
You act like he went to the Bengals. You're acting like he went to the Bengals. You're acting like he went to the Jets.
The Bengals have been to more playoff appearances than the Buccaneers in the last 10, 15 years.
So, yeah, okay, 6 years ago. 6 years ago,
the Buccaneers haven't been.
So they're better right now than the Buccaneers. I understand.
God.
Makes sense.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
Who would you say is the unsung hero from the Buccaneers win? Who is the guy? Because I'm getting all the credit, but if you had to give somebody, I know it's hard, but to somebody else, even an ounce of credit for this game.
Interesting.
I'm a big Mike Evans guy. I think he's a really dynamic receiver. Great size, practically unguardable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
I'm going to give it to Fournette just because he's been great throughout the playoffs. Did great in Washington, did great in New Orleans, did great in this game too. Not as big as the game as he had in New Orleans, but he still put up a touchdown. He still did what he had to do. It was a great signing for them. I'm going to go Fournette as my unsung hero. Yeah.
I'm a Sean Murphy Bunting guy.
Pass interference king right there.
Big interception. I mean, he came up big. I understand. The guy gets away with a lot. And we're going to talk about this for a second here because I think the referees, what was going on? Both sides of the ball. They didn't call anything on Sunday until the very end. But is that, are you guys a fan of that? I think that kind of detracted from the game a little bit.
I usually like when referees don't call as much. Like I like having the game flow more. I know there should have been a pass interference called on Tampa, I think, earlier in the game. It was grabbing like a shoulder of his jersey or something. But I guess they got it. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about the last call. Obviously, the shirt was pulled. You saw the shirt being pulled in the replays. But if you're not calling it throughout the whole game, you can't call it there. You just can't. You have to be consistent with your calls there. But they called it. It was the obvious call, so I guess that's why they did it. But if you're not calling them throughout the whole game, you can't call it there.
I'm with you, Clark.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
it looks bad for the sport. I mean,
it does look bad. I agree. No, I agree.
Receivers really just couldn't. Talk about real quick. The first half, this being really big. What was Green Bay doing there defensively? They completely let Scotty Miller just jet.
Scotty.
I don't know. It was mentally just. I don't know what that was.
Kevin King had a tough game.
That was tough.
Pass interference to end it for him. Blown coverage in the half. Man, I don't know. I guess they just weren't. I think they kind of took it a little too lightly. Maybe they knew they had the 5 seed coming in, a wild card team, not even a division champ coming into Lambeau. They're home. They have their fans. It's the cold. They love playing on that field in January. I just didn't think they took them too seriously in the first half. That's all I think. They got blown out by this team earlier in the year, though. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why take them light?
There was no adjustment. It didn't seem like they adjusted between the first matchup and second matchup. It seemed like it was just too easy for Tampa Bay. And then at the end of the game, there's this adorable scene with Tom and his son, and he just says, let me see my son."
Cute.
So cute.
It's
Gave a nice
viral.
kiss on the lips.
Thank God there were a helmet. But
On the internet.
what are you gonna do? It was a nice moment.
It's just, is this guy such a phony or what?
Okay.
Tom Brady guy. Oh, was the cameras? It's like Michael Scott in The Office. He would always summon the cameras when he would do something.
Okay.
He wanted everyone to see.
I'm sorry that showing love to your son is supposed to be for publicity.
Brady might be one of the biggest team players in the whole sport.
Mhm.
He is. All those Patriot years where he would just not request new contracts to get more money so the team would have more cap for other players. I mean, Steve Moeller brought up an article today on the Sports Drive saying Tom Brady basically saved the Patriots $60 million over his entire career with them to save money for cap.
What a guy.
I mean, guy wants to win and he wants to build a good team around him to win.
He does. And in his personal life too, he has a beautiful wife at home, has some nice kids. He loves his kids very much, as we know.
How many does he have? 3?
I think three.
Are they all his ex-wives, or just him and Giselle have any?
They might be all. I don't know.
I didn't even know he had an ex-wife. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think his.
I think they're all Giselles or Giselle.
I know. I think his children aren't from Giselle. I think.
Really?
I think.
Oh.
It's John, Vivian, and Benjamin.
John is the famous one. John's the one.
John's the smooch boy.
John's the one with the lip peck.
No, I think they're all Giselle's.
Let me look into
Nice.
Tom Brady's personal life here. First of all,
No, you're right. Bridget
Wow.
Bridget Monahan is John's son. It's John's mother, and Vivian and Benjamin are Giselle's.
So 2. Okay.
2 out of the 3.
the Giselle children.
The Giselle
Tom Brady's
children.
so handsome. Those are some great genes.
43 years old. Crazy. Yeah, he looks that good.
The guy's gorgeous. You
That's
gotta
crazy.
give him that.
That's crazy.
All right, we're gonna take a break.
Yeah, we are.
You guys got to cool down. Got very hot and heavy over time.
That was a good one.
That was
a good
fun.
one.
Yeah. So we're gonna other half Chiefs Bills. Stay right here on the pod. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was an intense first half. I suspect that the stakes will be a lot lower here. Chiefs Bills, the second game on Sunday, and it's very easy to forget that the Bills even were a part of this whole thing because the Chiefs just gave quick work of them. Really, even tough to believe that the Bills were leading in this game after a good, maybe it was the first quarter, maybe even less. The biggest question that comes out of this: 3 AFC Championship games in a row, back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Are the Chiefs a dynasty?
I'm gonna say almost.
They win this year.
If they win this year,
it a
exactly.
yes.
They win this year, yes. They're right there. They're right there. The fact that they're even making it to back-to-back Super Bowls is impressive. You don't see it that often. But I think they're right there. If they win, I think it's 100%. I'd say it's about like 75%. Yes, they're a dynasty because it's just very consistent. It's just ever since Mahomes took the helm at quarterback, it's been very consistent, and they've obviously gotten 3 AFC championships, like Joe, you just said. But if they win, they'll secure it.
It's crazy to me because you look at this roster. Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all drafted by the Chiefs. Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, all drafted by the Chiefs. You look at the defense, Tyrann Mathieu, okay, he was released by Houston and the Chiefs signed him. Chris Jones, drafted by the Chiefs. This is not like a Warrior situation, as I may say, where they signed the huge big ticket free agent. And that's the reason that they're winning, or a major part that they're winning. Sorry, Joe. This is a Chiefs team that built from the ground up, and a lot of that has to do with Andy Reid. And they're going to be trouble for at least the next 3 years.
They call him Big Red. This is the Big Red dynasty. This is the Big Red machine. I don't care what happens next. As it stands right now, at the current moment, this Chiefs team is a dynasty. You get to you get to back-to-back Super Bowl. Like it seems so easy, doesn't it? Because we've seen the Patriots do it
I have.
for so
I
long.
have.
It seems, and we saw Seattle do it. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to get to 2 games in a row. And what makes the Chiefs a dynasty is that this team doesn't look like they're headed for the end. You could see the end with the Patriots. You can see how after they lost to the Patriots, how Seattle, the Legion of Boom, was going to dissipate. I think that Reid and Mahomes have the ability to do this for a very long time. A very long time.
My question to you is, they have a lot of contracts to settle in a couple of years. Do you see this team staying together and continuing this dynasty, as you say, or are they going to split up too, like the Legion of Boom you just mentioned and all that stuff? Because they have a lot of people to pay in like 2 years from now.
Well, through the draft, I think Kansas City will be able to follow sort of a formula for the type of players that they draft. I think that you might not get the same explosiveness as Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill-like players are going to be available through the draft for years and years to come. The speedy, deep threats. You see that with Mecole Hardman is almost like the future there. And the way defense, they draft for size on the interior defensive line. And they build that up, really. They build up a nice pass rush there. And I think that with Andy Reid and his genius, it's not going to go away. Even the players can change, but we're talking about a guy who got to 4 straight NFC Championship games with Donovan McNabb in the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy what he can do now. He was perennially winning divisions with Alex Smith. This is he's set. I really think they're set for a very long time. It doesn't matter if the faces change.
I do question Andy Reid, 62 years old. You question if old age, God forbid, starts to hit, maybe a couple health problems we don't want, but you never know what these things will happen. Was it Andy Reid after the Super Bowl? He's like, I want to go get a cheeseburger or something like that.
Yeah, last year.
I mean, this guy's one of a kind, and he's really making an argument top 7 coach of all time. I mean, guy's a football genius. Ever since the 7th grade, I'm sure you guys have seen that photo. The guy is a tank. Big Red's it's a good nickname for him. And I think as long as this maybe Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce will take pay cuts per se, very little to keep the team together. This seems like a really good group of guys that have really good chemistry. So I envision them wanting to stay together for a while.
So who gets the credit for this win right here? There's a lot of credit going around. Is this an Andy Reid genius, or is this Mahomes' talent, or is this just a perfect blend of both?
I think it's the perfect blend of both. I know Mahomes had a phenomenal game, but he had a phenomenal game because of everything that Andy Reid does. Granted, Mahomes did a lot on his own. Like, not taking any credit away from Mahomes. It was a great game, or as Joe called him during the week, a fraud who showed up and 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. Great job. They had a lot of adversity too, because the Bills got off to a great start in this game too. Like, you had the Mecole Hardman fumble. They were up 9-0 in the first quarter, and then the Chiefs just, they put their foot down on the gas and went at it. But I'd say I'd give it to Mahomes. If I had to give it to one person, I'd give it to Mahomes more than Andy Reid.
I'm gonna go a joint one here. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I mean, Tyreek Hill 9 for 172, Travis Kelce 13 for 118 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, and both of those guys were targeted only 2 more times than what they caught. So clearly, they have some of the best hands in the league, and both are basically unguardable. And when you have that, it makes Mahomes' job a lot easier because the windows to throw are there more, and the guys are always going to come down with it. So I'm gonna go with them for my MVP.
I think this is one of the best Andy Reid coached games we have seen, and we've seen a lot of great ones. Just the way he utilized the offense, the way he mixed it up, the way he just uses Tyreek Hill both as a threat and not, it's utterly insane. He came out he came out in that second quarter and just put on a display. He utilized that speed so well. So I think this is the big red game. That was textbook Andy Reid right there. If you're a Bills fan though, are you disappointed with the way the season went, or are you
not when ended?
No, if you've had it's today, you've had a couple days to digest the loss. Are you sitting here thinking, we could have gotten the Super Bowl? Like this is tough. Like it's hurt, or are you like, wow, like we got to the AFC Championship game?
Steve just said it best. That little 2 seconds right there. Literally, they're disappointed how it ended with the horrible loss to the Chiefs, but it was a great season for the Bills. You have the breakout player in Josh Allen. They won their division for the first time. I don't know how long, because the Patriots won it for all those years, but someone left New England, and that's why they basically won. Won a division, got all the way to the AFC Championship. Had a tough road to get there, but they did it. They put up a fight, not a good enough fight though against Kansas City. So I'm disappointed in how it ended for them, not how the season went as a whole though.
It's just crazy to see a team with such regular season success. Stephon Diggs kind of a clunker in this one. Not bless you, Joseph.
Bless you.
Not the best numbers. Josh Allen played solid. What does concern me is we talk about how good the Chiefs are going to be for years to come. This is a Bills team that's going to have to make some upgrades if they want to compete with the Chiefs team. But like I said, I think you're happy to see as a Bills fan that the team is finally elite and going in the right direction. It's just you're scared that the Chiefs are the Chiefs for a couple more years.
Yeah, at least, and that makes things really tough. And when you're looking at the Bills team, Josh Allen, rightfully so, has gotten a lot of praise. Talks in the MVP consideration. People are throwing him in the top 5 lists now. Should we pump the brakes after Sunday on Josh Allen? Because I personally think we do. I think that the talent's there. I just don't trust Josh Allen mentally at all. It seems like the decisions that he makes, like a beginner on Madden at times, and he made a lot of bad mistakes that could have easily been picked off, or just not smart football throws very often on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think slightly pump the brakes. Like you see the red light like in the distance a little bit, so you just start taking your foot off the gas and start slowly putting your foot on the brake. I think he had a really, really good season. He proved to a lot of haters that he's legit in this league. Top 5 is a little too high for me. I don't think he's really in that category yet. He's definitely in my top 10 quarterbacks, but top 5, maybe he sniffs it at 5, but not really yet. I think you pump it a little bit. There is a lot, like you said, Joe, there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of decision-making work to be done, when to make the right throws. He can run the ball, which is phenomenal. He has great speed, and he has a great arm, but there's just a couple little other things to work out, and he'll be in that top 5 eventually. Give it a year or two.
I think when you look at Josh Allen from where he started, his career has just done this, and his play style and his decision-making have just done that. And I think with Brian Daboll returning next year, we're going to see even more of an improvement from Josh Allen. It's scary because they made the playoffs last season, and they probably should have beat Houston. As we all remember that game, he made the stupid mistake of laddering the ball, almost costing him the game in the season. And then they get 2 games farther this year, and they run into a powerhouse, and he didn't even play horrible. You have Stephon Diggs. You have your wide receiver 1 for years. If they can get him a run game, this is a potentially top 2 offense in the league. And I think I agree. Josh Allen a little bit slow down a little bit, but next year you're gonna have to pick it up because he's gonna pick it up as well.
I don't think I love the offense. I love Brian Daboll's done a tremendous job, but do I think that the Chiefs are going to be back? Because that's the next question here. Are the Chiefs coming back? Or, I'm sorry, are the Bills coming back?
Oh,
I don't think so. The Bills last year were praised because, I don't know if you guys coming into the season, they were supposed to be this great defense. They were what we thought the Steelers were for a little while there, this great young unit, and the defense really let them down a lot this season, especially that run defense. So like Buffalo, it was this year or bust, because I think that they were riding high on the momentum, and it won't be easy in the AFC East. I'm afraid of the Dolphins. I would be afraid. And you don't know what the Jets and what the Patriots are doing, but it looks like they're going to be active this offseason.
Yeah, that might turn into the toughest division in football. I don't see them winning the division. I honestly don't think they're going to win the division next year. I really don't. I think the Dolphins have a really good chance if they make a move. Jets, like you said too, if they get Deshaun Watson, they draft well. You never know with the Jets too. And like you said, I don't really have too much faith in the Patriots, but Dolphins and Jets, they have a shot to take over the division. But the Bills, got to give credit where credit's due. They still won the division. I don't know. It's a lot of question marks. A lot of question marks. You have to see where things fall.
I think the Bills. I think they still will be a playoff team next season. Just so I got the dogs barking. Mother just came home. Long day at work, so dogs are excited.
Of course.
Are the dogs barking, or is it your feet? You know how they sometimes say. Both, huh?
I know. No, it's if the Jets do somehow facilitate a trade for Deshaun Watson, I think they are an immediate playoff. Looking at the playoffs, Miami. I mean, if they stick with Tua, we all know what that's going to be like with that controversy. I think the Bills pretty handily win this division next year, and I think maybe back to AFC Championship, if not easily AFC divisional series.
All right. So we're gonna start to wrap up here. Just real quick, the AFC Championship. Trey Songz wasn't following coronavirus protocol, and I guess got into a little scuffle with the police. Do you think this had any effect on the Chiefs winning? Do you think they did it for Trey, so to speak?
I didn't even know about that until right now.
Neither did I.
Big baggage claim actor and Tremaine the album artist, Trey Songz, arrested at the AFC Championship game. I just don't know what this means for Arrowhead.
Oh, man.
It means
the stadium's going to rally around him next game.
They're going to put a statue of him outside, like when they win the Super Bowl.
Him and Peterson.
Pray for Trey.
Pray for Trey. Pray for Trey.
Man.
All right.
The protocols, guys.
All right, folks. Clark, you got the outro.
Okay, so thank you guys very much for listening to this episode of the Sports Department Podcast. Us three appreciate you guys listening. So does Justin and Jesse, who aren't here with us right now. Make sure you guys follow us. On our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Sports Depth Pod. Steve, say it along with me. That's Sports DEPT Pod.
Podcast. Yeah. Classic.
Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. I don't really think we have too much else planned this week because a lot of things are at a standstill right now. Hasn't been too much more baseball news since we did our last Hot Stove episode. Basketball, a lot of games are getting canceled because of COVID and not much newsworthy stuff. So I might bang out a baseball one. I know a hockey one's in the works. I might get
a hockey one going.
Might get a hockey one in there. So hockey's coming.
You want me to hop on? I can hop on.
Oh, brother.
Okay, we'll see.
Hacky one's coming up. A Royal Rumble prediction episode this Saturday for wrestling recap. Then recapping the Rumble 2 will be next week, and nothing for the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl's stupid this year on Madden, so we don't care about that. But maybe we'll try to bang out a football one or something of off-season trades and free agency rumors and all that stuff. So stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.